More weather woes, an Ottawa man's odyssey to a wedding he never made.
I said I just want to go home. At that point I was like frustrated, I hadn't really slept.
I'm Corey O'Kelly. That story ahead on the CBC News Ottawa at 6.
Air Canada is warning customers to expect, stop me if you've heard this, to expect more disruptions today. It's calling for delays and flight cancellations at airports in Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, St. John's and Halifax.
Never seems to end. All of the recent delays and cancellations have one Canada man wishing he never left home. 6 days ago, he set out for a family wedding in Saskatchewan and never quite made it. Corey O'Kelly has his story.
Chris Lear of Canada loves planes. He's built and flown dozens of his own models. But he's not much of a fan of Air Canada these days after his recent odyssey. It was supposed to have been simple. An Air Canada flight from Ottawa through Winnipeg into Saskatoon for a nearby wedding in Lloydminister. Instead, he ended up here in Edmonton. Because of fierce icy winds, he decided to rent a car, drive downtown and get a hotel. But his luggage with warm clothing was lost, Air Canada told him. When he went outside in this coat to clean the ice off his rental car, he suffered frostbite, he says.
Well, you know, I was shielding my face from the blowing winds. The wind cut underneath through the jackets and stuff and started, you know, drying out my skin. Like it's even like right now I got like open sores and stuff. Like it just, the discoloration essentially is just windburn.
Next day, no flights again, so he drove his rental car in hammering winds 250 kilometers to Lloydminister, missing the wedding, but catching the tail of the reception. He did get to chat with his cousin Colbey and his new wife Lauren. Hours later, he drove back to Edmonton and went to Air Canada.
I said I just want to go home. At that point, I was like frustrated, I hadn't really slept.
The airline flew him instead to Toronto. This was the lineup at Pearson Airport for hotel and food vouchers.
Probably 3,000 people, over a kilometer long for sure.
He left after 17 hours, took an $80 cab ride and got his own hotel. He paid again to get a train home to Ottawa early Wednesday morning.
I felt depleted, I was pale. You know, I was having heart palpitations from the stress and lack of sleep. Like I hadn't slept in 5 days.
Chris Lear now has a table full of bills for planes, trains, hotels, and cars, and a feeling that he and others were badly treated at airports this week.
I found shocking is the fact that they're actually still booking tickets to these flights that aren't even leaving.
He says the only contact from Air Canada was this email yesterday asking if he'd like to book flights on their new seat sale. Corey O'Kelly, CBC News, Ottawa.
You know, every year we hear the stories. It's always a risk traveling at this time of year, but it really seemed particularly bad this year.
There probably could be a tome, like a huge book put together of all these horror stories people have been experiencing over the last few weeks.
I don't think anyone would want to read it, though.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, still ahead, catching